97.3 Citi FM. It doesn't get any better than that.
Detailed news, unparalleled coverage. Citi News on 97.3 FM.
Eyewitness News. Be there as it happens.
Citi News.
It's 1700 GMT. This is 97.3 Citi FM. You're welcome to Eyewitness News on 97.3 Citi FM. Eyewitness News is a 2-hour-long radio program that offers you great interviews, analysis, and news summaries. There's also the Talkback segment later on the show where we hear from you via WhatsApp and X. I am Umaru Sandamadu, your host for Eyewitness News. And coming up tonight, Deputy EC boss Eric Bosman Asari and his colleague Samuel Attah-Mensah leave the commission, creating vacancies at the electoral management body. Now, Eric Bosman Asari resigned while Samuel Attah-Mensah went on retirement.
Dr. Bosman Asari, I can also confirm that he has submitted a letter to His Excellency the President, indicating that effective 31st July 2026, he would resign his position as Deputy Chairperson of the Electoral Commission.
And talking about resignations, a former Chief Justice who was a member of the Council of State, Justice Sophia Akufo, has resigned as a member of the Council of State. Government is announcing that the resignation, which was tendered in September last year, was not done with any ill intent.
Justice Sophia Akufo has resigned from her position as a member of the Council of State. She submitted a letter in September 2025 to the President indicating her desire to resign. The President has formally accepted her resignation and she is no longer a member of the Council of State.
Also coming up on Eyewitness News, the High Court has rejected the proposal by Chairman Wontumi of the NPP. His lawyer wanted to withdraw from the case at the 11th hour just before judgment. The judge said, "Bidi." Now he has gone ahead to appoint a new lawyer, the Honorable Attachia, to replace Andy Apiakubi. What happens next? And later on Eyewitness News, government dismisses claims of wrongdoing in the award of sole contract for its Big Push agenda. This is Eyewitness News on 97.3 Citi FM. You can send us your messages on our WhatsApp platform 0539 986 996 0539 986 996, or go on X and mention my handle at Umaru Sanda or at Citi973 using the hashtag Eyewitness News. This Eyewitness News on 97.3 Citi FM. Massive resignation at the very, very top. One, at the Electoral Commission, Dr. Eric Bosman Asari, served for 8 years as Deputy EC Chair, has decided to tender in his resignation effective end of July 2026. He said he wants to go and teach. He wants to go back to the classroom and teach where he previously was. Now, his colleague Deputy Samuel Attah-Mensah has retired. He retired effective March 2026. So 2 vacancies at the Electoral Commission. Then we go to the Council of State, a constitutional body that's supposed to advise the president, whose membership is clearly outlined in the Constitution. A key member there, former Chief Justice Sophia Akufo, has also resigned. The resignation happened in September last year, and there are calls for government to come clear. Former Special Prosecutor Martin Amido has penned an article in which he's asking the government to be transparent and explain why the resignation, which happened in September, was not being accepted. Felix Kwachio-Fosu is Minister for Government, or Minister of State in charge of Government Communication. He has addressed the press today and said the resignation happened September last year, all right, but the president had not accepted the resignation, and he gave other explanations. Let's hear a brief of what Felix Kwachio-Fosu has been telling journalists at the Jubilee House today, and then we'll come in studio for a discussion.
first issue relating to reports of the resignation of Justice Sofa A.B. Akufu. I can confirm that indeed Justice Sofa A.B. Akufu has resigned from her position as a member of the Council of State. She submitted a letter in September 2025 to the President indicating her desire to resign. She did not disclose the reason for wanting to resign. When the President received the letter, he was required then to indicate his acceptance of the resignation. But at the behest of the Council of State, he had to hold on because they said they wanted to engage Justice Sofa Akufu to see if there was some grievance that she had that was informing the resignation and whether or not there was a way that it could be addressed. So they asked the President to hold on with the acceptance. But they got back and said that they had engaged, and as far as they were concerned, the resignation could be accepted. So the President has formally accepted her resignation and she's no longer a member of the Council of State. The law is clear on what processes to undertake to replace her, and that is going on as we speak. So in due course, a replacement will be announced for Justice Sofa Akufu. Regarding Dr. Bosman Asari, I can also confirm that he has submitted a letter to His Excellency the President indicating that effective 31st July 2026, he would resign his position as Deputy Chairperson of the Electoral Commission. He gives a reason for his resignation, which is that he wants to go back to academia and pursue his career as a staff of the University of Ghana, and conveyed his thanks and appreciation to the President and people of Ghana for giving him the opportunity to serve in that capacity. We are also aware that a second chairperson, in the person of Mr. Samuel Attah-Mensah, has also gone on retirement as, I beg your pardon, a member of the Electoral Commission or a deputy chairperson. And in that regard, processes are underway. Indeed, the Council of State has already been given a nominee, which they are considering. And once that process is completed, an announcement will be made in terms of the replacement for Mr. Attah-Mensah. And then in due course, a replacement will be found for Dr. Bosman Asari. So I can confirm the resignation of these two people.
So two resignations, or not resignation, one resignation, one retirement at the Electoral Commission. There are plans to replace Samuel Attah-Mensah, who was retired in March, and then Bosman Asari, whose resignation is supposed to take effect from the end of next month. Fred Tete Jabano is a head of current affairs here at Citi FM. He's in studio with me. Fred, what do you make of these announcements? Is it something that we saw coming? Because Bosman Asari especially was someone that the NDC had a really, really big issue with in the time they were in opposition. And there were concerns that as soon as they came into office, they were going to find a way to remove him. But turns out he's the one who is jumping rather than being pushed.
Yeah, so Sandra, somewhere last week, we picked up information that this resignation was taking place. What we knew at the time was that this resignation was going to take place in July as confirmed by the Minister of Government Communications. But then we needed an official of government to really confirm whether the resignation letter has been sent to the President. That we didn't have till today. The government communications minister came in to announce the resignation of Bosman Asari. Like you said, people will be asking, was this coming? Yes. Since the NDC won power in 2024 and President John Dramani Mahama was sworn in 2025, one of the issues which had been very topical and people were looking forward to was what was going to happen to the leadership of the Electoral Commission. The leadership of the Electoral Commission making up, I'm talking about the
Jean Mensah, the
chairperson, Dr. Bosman, the deputy, and Mr. Samuel Attah-Mensah, the other deputy.
So the Electoral Commission is a constitutional body which has, so in total there are 7. There are 4 commissioners 2 deputy chairpersons and one chairperson. So
exactly.
total 7. So
but
and they are all appointed by the president.
Yes, but the leadership
are the top 3.
Are the top 3. So these were the conversations going on. The conversations did not just come up because before the election, you had senior members of the NDC, including the national chairman of the NDC, indicating or giving an indication that when they won, if they should win power in 2024, which they did, they were going to take steps to remove these people who made up the leadership of the Electoral Commission. After they came to power, the first thing we saw the NDC do was to take on the former Chief Justice, which they managed. You wouldn't say the NDC, but there was a petition to remove the Chief Justice, which the president forwarded and got the woman removed anyway. The next thing people were looking forward to see how the party and the government was going to handle the issue of the Electoral Commission chairperson and her deputies. That we did not hear anything till very recently, which is some few days ago. We heard about the resignation of Dr. Bosman and the retirement of Mr. Samuel Attah. If you look at the constitution, for retirement, the 2 deputies are placed on the same level of High Court judges, meaning that you could retire at 65. And we are told that Mr. Samuel Attah turned 65 on the 13th of March. So he had to leave. Then there was Dr. Bosman, who is 51 years, has served so far at the Electoral Commission for 8 years. Nobody expected him to resign. But then we are told that he says that he wants to return to the University of Ghana to continue his work as a teacher. So he's leaving the office of the Electoral Commission to go there.
So he's moving from an office where he had a V8. I think he has bodyguard and a driver.
Military escorts at a point.
And going to be a driver
and going back to lecture
at your school.
At my alma mater.
In fact, will he be head of department or common member?
I cannot tell for now. I mean,
so it's likely he can be in the staff common room.
Yes, it is likely he
as a common lecturer.
No, as a senior lecturer. As a senior lecturer.
Bossman,
as a senior lecturer.
I will call him and tell him
so that's what is happening.
Let me speak to the Minister of State in charge of Government Communication, MP Phyllis Kwachiofo. So, Honorable, you're welcome to Eyewitness News. So you called the press conference today. You addressed 3 main issues. I want us to start off with the EC. What happened at the Electoral Commission? Did the government ask Bosman to jump, perhaps so that you don't push him?
No, government has done no such thing. He brought a letter to the presidency indicating that effective 31st July this year, he would like to leave the Electoral Commission and go back to the University of Ghana, where he worked as a lecturer and head of department in one of their wings. So that is exactly what has happened. The president has accepted his resignation. So that is the status of affairs.
And Attah, he has retired.
Yeah, he has reached retirement age and retired, yeah.
Now, what happens with their replacements?
Yes, what I indicated, the processes are underway to get replacement for them.
Now,
as prescribed by law, yeah.
About the jumping question I asked earlier, I asked because when party was in opposition, you really had a lot of problems with Bosman as a person, and there were comments made by some of your party members that if you won election in 2024, you were going to take steps to take him out. And so that's why many would think that this is what you are executing. Can you give an assurance to the public and for that matter Ghanaians that this had no governmental or party orchestration?
Well, first of all, no basis exists for giving an assurance because nothing of the sort has happened. The process for removing a member of the Electoral Commission is clearly spelled out by law. And indeed, in our recent history, a government has done that in the shape of the Akufo-Addo administration. They removed the chairperson of the Electoral Commission using stated law and process. So whenever a government wants to remove someone from the EC based on specific considerations and events, how to do it is very clear. That is not what has happened in this instance. Dr. Bosman Asare himself, of his own volition, wrote to the president indicating his desire to leave at the appointed date. And that was what has happened. So I'm not sure how an assurance gets into the conversation.
Now, the next question would be, if you promptly accepted the resignation of Bossman, how come it's taking you many months to accept the resignation of former Chief Justice Sophia Akuffo from the Council of State?
As I indicated at my press briefing, when Justice Sophia Akuffo wrote the letter in September 2025 indicating her desire to leave the Council of State, she didn't cite a reason, but she informed the Council of State as well. The Council of State, upon hearing this, approached the President and asked him to stay his hand in terms of acceptance of the resignation, pursuant to some deliberations and engagement they wanted to hold with the Justice of Akuffo. So they later got back to the President and indicated that he could go ahead to accept the resignation because they had done the engagement. And it was upon that basis that the President did what he had to do. So that is all that there is to it, really.
When did the President finally accept the resignation then?
Oh, that should be late last year.
The acceptance was late last year, so why are we hearing it today?
But there's no problem. It is because there are members of the media who put it out in a manner that sought to distort the facts. But as for the fact of a resignation, it is well documented.
But as a chief government spokesperson, do you not think that Ghanaians ought to have been told that a member of the Council of State resigned, whose resignation was accepted as way back as end of the year last year, which means by December?
I speak to matters on which I have been authorized to speak. I do not speak when I do not have authorization. Once I have it, I will let the people of Ghana know, and that is exactly what I have done.
The reason this question is important is because even if the resignation was accepted in December last year, it means the Council of State has been working without its full complement for the past, 6 months. That is a problem, is it not? And the Ghanaian public do not know that the chief advisor of the president, as created by law, was defective by law.
Well, they are not defective. They've continued to work. There was always going to be a lag between the time a member resigns and the time she is replaced. When a member resigns, the replacement is not done instantly. The process has to be undertaken.
Yes, but the announcement at least would have, I'm saying this because former Special Prosecutor Martin Amido has written a lengthy article in which article he's saying the government ought to have and owes it a duty to communicate this particular resignation, if indeed it happened last year, to Ghanaians and explain why. You have said that the resignation...
Martin Amido has a history of writing rambling articles on all manner of issues. It is not everything he writes that can be agreed with. So his writing of an article does not make the position correct. I'm saying that when a member of the Council of State resigns, or any other government organization resigns, there's always a time lag between when the resignation occurs and when he or she is replaced. The process has to be undertaken. It is not automatic. Sometimes it doesn't even depend on government. So that is exactly what has happened. Long before this matter became public, processes were underway to replace her. So that is exactly what has happened. So reference to Martin Amido, in my view, does not change the facts of this case.
He criticizes, and he's a member of your party. His last but 2 paragraphs, he says that the resignation of Miss Justice Akuffo is a shot across the bow for President Mahama's government. It demonstrates, and this is a critical part, it demonstrates a lack of due diligence in the NDC government's appointment process. He's essentially saying that you did not calculate well before appointing Justice of Akuffo.
Again, that's why I say that this pension to rely on Martin Amido's views can mislead you. Check the Constitution. Justice of Akuffo was representing a statutorily mandated entity. It is required that a former Chief Justice be on the Council of State. So when Martin Amido speaks about due diligence, what is he talking about? Could we have replaced Justice of Akuffo with a market woman or a kinky seller? So what due diligence is he talking about? Justice of Akuffo?
He says that it's not a failure of intelligence on the part of government. that the security and intelligence agencies should have.
What is he talking about?
Should have done that preemptive analysis.
Umaru, again, you must refrain from this habit of taking Martin Amidu's words hook, line, and sinker. He has a history of one man of rambling article writing in this country. He says things that necessarily do not add up. So when you want to discuss a matter, your question should be based on fact, accuracy, and Ghanaian law, not opinion, as preferred by Martin Amidu. There are 1,001 things he's written that I disagree with him on, and many Ghanaians do. His word is not law or fact. Check the Constitution on the composition of the Council of State. It says that a former living Chief Justice is required to be on the Council of State. The question I ask you is Justice Akufo a former living Chief Justice or not? She is. So end of story. What due diligence again is required beyond fulfilling that condition, a mandate? There are other Chief Justices who are living. Any one of them you select will fulfill this mandate. So when he speaks about intelligence, what is he talking about? What specific intelligence or due diligence is he talking about? Who was to tell whether Justice Akufo will have reason to resign or not? She has the right to resign, as does anybody who works for any organization in this country. Tomorrow, Omar, you can decide to leave Citi FM. It does not mean that your employer did not do due diligence. A time may come when you take a personal decision. When that decision occurs, nobody else can be held liable for it apart from yourself. So Martin Amidu's claims, in my view, do not hold sway in this particular discussion.
There's another view that she resigned in protest against how the government handled the former Chief Justice Gertrude Tokonu, because the letter of resignation came in September. The dismissal of the Chief Justice also happened in September. That may also appear to be a blot on the government's image.
Also, Justice Akufo does not come across as a timorous soul or someone who cannot voice her concerns when she has a position on a matter. You recall that when the Akufo administration implemented the DDP, despite the fact that she was the Chief Justice appointed by that particular administration, she joined others to protest against that obnoxious decision. In times past and in recent past, she has publicly voiced her opinions on any matter. So if she was minded to state a reason for resigning, she would have indicated so. And today I displayed a letter at the briefing. The letter is a 4-paragraph letter. She doesn't say anywhere why she resigned. So on what basis is anybody purporting to conjecture and manufacture a reason on behalf of the Akufo as why she has left the Council of State? What they are doubling in is pure conjecture and nothing more. As a government, we cannot operate on the basis of conjecture. If she was resigning because of a particular decision or a particular reason, I believe she would have stated so. She didn't say it. So we cannot divine a reason as to why she has resigned. All she says is that she desires to resign as a member of the Council of State voluntarily. And that is what has happened.
There's a concern that you will struggle to replace her because all the people, as the Constitution mandates that you can use to replace her, are people your party has tagged with so many. You've done some mudslinging against them. Justice Georgina Wood, Justice Eni Eboa.
First of all, what mudslinging are you talking about? For instance, what mudslinging are you talking? What mudslinging has been done against Justice Georgina Wood or Eni Eboa?
That you called him president of the unanimous FC. And
but if constitutionally he is required to be on the Council of State, why would anybody deny him? I beg your pardon. So what is the basis for saying that? What difficulty is there? Really?
So it's not going to be a struggle for you to choose
and as far as I know, the Council of State is not a partisan body, is it?
No, it's not. But if you tag someone
so on what basis
because
is the difficulty being alluded to?
Because you tagged the person previously as partisan.
No, first of all, I've asked you a question. Umaru, the Council of State, is it a partisan body or not?
No, it's not.
Number two, the Council of State, is it a body in which only one person, that is the person representing the judiciary, takes decisions?
No.
So on what basis would there be a difficulty?
That you have tagged someone as political in the past, and if you add that person, you dilute the Council of State. And that person will not work in your interest.
People have the right to express their views about public office holders. The same way that on a daily basis, people criticize this government, as they did the Akufo-Addo government, as they've done to all governments. Any member of Ghanaian society can take issue with the performance of any public office holder, including the Chief Justice. It doesn't mean that if there is a need for a constitutional duty to be performed by that person, he should be denied or will be denied. So there's no basis again for that kind of conjecture that is going on.
All right. Finally, before you go, I have Dennis Miracles Abwaji on the other line. He's the spokesperson of the opposition leader. He is one of many people who've been saying that this government has inflated the amount of money that is paid to the people like yourselves and other people at the Jubilee House. I think you are paid as a member of parliament. So those are the Jubilee House. You've tried to explain that today to say that the bill that is being paid, even if it is expensive, was bequeathed to you by the Akufo-Addo administration. Is that the understanding I should get?
Dennis and his colleagues in the MPP, they are incalculably ignorant, or they are just being mischievous. They are peddling lies, some of which are incoherent, illogical, and do not make any sense. He was a member of staff under the Akufo-Addo administration. It is a fact that the government that he was part of was the most bloated in our history. At a point, they had 361 political appointees at the presidency. At a point, they had 124 ministers. At a point, they had 1,048 staff at the office of the president. President Rama said he will reduce it because it was a drain on government expenditure. That is precisely what we have done. Now, he and his colleagues go around and see that because the budget that was presented to Parliament shows that the emolument, or if like compensation for the office of the president, in other words, the political appointees who work in the office of the president, has gone up nominally. It means that we are spending more on government now or at the presidency now than before. First of all, let me say that there is a lie that they tell that the salaries of political appointees at the office of the president has ballooned to 2.7 billion. That is a ridiculous lie, started by MPP members of parliament, which we have debunked. When we came to power, because some ministries had been collapsed, the agencies under them needed to be classified under an entity for budgetary purposes. So GBC, Information Services Department, GNE, which belonged then to the Ministry of Information, that had fallen under my office, were brought under the office of the president. That alone brought in about 3,000 staff who are civil servants, not political appointees. Then National Security, National Signals Bureau, the Research Department, and the BNI brought in close to 7,000 employees who existed already before we came to power. So put together, an additional 11,000 civil servants were brought there and classified under the office of the president for budgetary purposes. So 11,000 people taking their salaries a year made it increase by over 2 billion. No reasonable person seeking to do serious public analysis will look at it and say the budget of the office of the president is bloated. It is a lie. That does not make sense. And you in the media should not be tolerating it. You need to look at the facts. But let me come back to the staff of the office of the president. Now, I said at the press conference today that Dennis and his colleagues who worked under the office of the president from 2001 to 2004, 2021 to 2025, January 6th, they were being paid on account. In other words, they were taking the salary that they came to meet after the first term of Akufo-Addo, which started from 2017 to 2021. But in 2024, President Akufo-Addo set up a committee chaired by a renowned lawyer called Dr. Nik Amarteifio to determine the conditions of service of Article 71 office holders. This committee did this work and brought a report and recommendation which said that the award points, which means that the grading upon which people who work under the office of the president were paid, to be moved from certain point to certain point. For instance, the chief of staff, who was classified as above a cabinet minister but below the speaker, his grade point between 2017 to 2021 under Akufo-Addo was 87. But between 2021 and 2025, it was taken to 94. The same for the secretary to the president, senior presidential advisors, secretary to cabinet, deputy chief of staff, and all the rest of them. So the grade points were increased. Because of that, their final terminal salaries that they took was higher than what they had taken on account. So every money that people who work under the office of the president now are taking is what Dennis and his colleagues were entitled to between 2021 and 2024. As I speak to you, there are some of them, ministers, deputy ministers, and members of parliament in the 8th parliament, including MPs. They have been given a top-up in salary. That is the difference between what they took on account between 2021 and 2024 and what the committee determined. What it means is that they got the same salaries as are being taken by current office holders under President Mahama. So there's no reasonable person out there who can look at these facts and speak about bloating. If you want to see whether they are the same, you just add the top-up they received to what they took from 2021 to 2024. You will see that it is far more because of the larger numbers. Indeed, in 2024, when we came to power, last year we took the 2024 list of political appointees and civil servants under Akufo-Addo at the office of the president to parliament. It showed that they had 355 political appointees, which added to civil servants to make 953. Common sense and logic will say that if we are taking the same salaries, when you multiply 355 by the same salary, it is higher than what you get when you multiply by 333. So any claim that the figures are bloated or higher now is blatantly false. It is deliberate propaganda. That makes no sense. And you see, I employ you in the media to do better due diligence and not allow people to come and make statements that are lies. They think that they say anything because they said it is true. So there's nothing I said at this press conference which is not fact. It is factual. If they don't know, that is fine.
Okay.
It only means that they are ignorant. But they cannot know and say what they are saying because the facts are there. Indeed, the only people who are owed today are people who work under the office of the president, under President Akufo-Addo, between 2021 to 2024. They are going to receive top-ups. In other words, the difference between what they took on account from 2021 to 2025 and what the committee determined that they should be paid as salaries and conditions. Why are they waiting for that top-up? Today they are complaining that they have not been paid. In one breath, you are waiting for top-up, which would match up to the exact same salaries people are taking under President Mahama. And you are saying that it's been bloated. Finally, President Mahama has not increased the salaries that he came to meet by 1 cedi because the constitution is clear that he cannot vary the salaries that he came to meet unless and until he has set up a committee to review what was there and determine the salaries of his appointees. That has not happened. And he says he will not do it because under the constitution review, we will set up an independent emoluments committee that will permanently exist to determine the salaries and working conditions of all public servants, not just appointees of the president and executive. So these are the facts.
Okay, I have Dennis, and since you've mentioned him, I think I just want to ask him to respond. And if you could indulge me, you can just stay in and listen. And if there's any comment, you can react. Otherwise, you may take leave of us. So if I can just hear Dennis before you take leave of us, Mr. Miracles Abuaji, you're welcome. Apologies, I think I've lost him there, and so we'll just leave the.
Thank you, thank you.
Okay, I have. Yeah, Dennis, the Minister for Government Communications says. You did not know what you were talking about when you and your colleagues made the claims that you made, and that you were waiting for the same thing to enjoy, and yet you are shouting on the rooftop that the thing is bloated, and that this was actually left behind for them by your government. How do you respond? Would you say that you've got?
Omar, I hope you give me enough time, just as you gave the honorable minister, because this is a very important conversation. You see, first of all, this government and its officials actually assume that everybody in this country, for lack of a better word, is silly. And that is why Felix would just throw words about and call people names and run around without dealing with the substantive matter. What are we discussing here? You, Felix, and your party in opposition went around campaigning on the account that the MPP government was burdening the taxpayer with the cost of running government business. And that when you come, you are going to take that cost off. That was the substance of the conversation. So first of all, let's stay there. Now, on the face of the fact, today as we speak, it is costing you over 248 million Ghana cedis to manage your staff
Council, how
As
come
against,
I cannot
as
now
against 143.
hear what they are saying?
Umaru, can you hear me?
Yes, forgive me, just
You
a
need to
second.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, Dennis, just hold on the line. Just hold on the line. Honorable Attah-Mensah, good evening. Honorable Attah-Mensah, good evening. Okay, I would come to Honorable Attah-Mensah in a jiffy. He's supposed to speak to me on a different matter, and I think he came in inadvertently. So, Mr. Miracle, about you can continue.
So you promised, Umaru, can you hear me now?
Yes, you may
You
proceed.
promised the people of this country a less burdensome cost of running government on the taxpayer. That was the promise. You told them that the Kufuor government was spending so much money and that they should vote for you. When they vote for you, yours will be less. As we speak, you are spending 248 million on running your staff. Kufuor spent 153 million. At the time he was spending 153 million, you, Felix, and the members of your government today said the 153 million was too much. So if today you come to office, the least anybody expects from you was to spend nothing more than 152 or 151, at least be 1 point lower than the 153 million. Otherwise, a complete betrayal. And I hear Felix throw around words and some explanation. Listen, Umaru, the situation at hand is a serious situation. You can't speak your way and explain the situation out of conversation. Listen, number one, nobody should listen to Felix's explanation about ministers and MPs. And the fact that there's a committee and they have received. Nobody is discussing ministers and MPs here. Umaru, go and pick the budget and look at the conversation we are talking about and check where there is a minister or a member of parliament in there. Go and pick the list of staffers we are talking about, the presidential staff that we are discussing, and see where MPs are found in there. We are talking about Office of Government Machinery, Office of the President. The cost you are spending, the amount of money you are spending to run Office of the President, Office of Government Machinery today does not include the MPs you are referring to. Does not include the ministers. Let me put it on record. No member of the Office of the President and the Kufuor has been paid a dime. No member has been paid even 1 cedi, let alone be paid any top up. So fellas cannot be talking to the people of this country and be telling them about, oh, they will be paid. Will be paid what? As we speak today, the cost of running the Kufuor government, which I was a member of, was 153 million. Full stop. Nobody in the Kufuor government has been paid any top up from anywhere. Why do you bring something that has not happened into a conversation? Number two, apart from the fact that you are spending 243 million on running the so-called lean government, Umaru, you are, as we speak, the most expensive government in the history of this country. And that is from the facts, it's from the data. Let me repeat. This government, which Felix is a member of, he sits at the Office of Government Machinery, is the most expensive government in the history of this country.
But he said that because they brought civil servants, they are now like 11,000 to the presidency.
No, that's not true. That's a lie.
He said
that's
in ISD and all those people, they are not under there.
That is a lie. Umaru, that's a lie. Stop right there. Listen, when you pick the budget and you pick the compensation components, the data we are talking about, the 153 million and the 243 million, does not include any civil servant. We are talking about only the political appointees. That is the only group we are talking about here. Those in office of the president.
And so this will be what, staffers?
The president. Say again.
So this will be the staffers at the presidency. Those are the ones you are referring to.
The staff. Yeah, the staffers. So those in the office of the vice president, the chief of staff's office, the president's office. Those are the people we are discussing. In fact, the only institution that is in there is MIDA. See, go and look at the figures we are talking about. Even 24-hour economy secretariat has not been added. Do you know how much 24-hour economy secretariat is costing us? It's not part of the 243 million. It is 16 million Ghana cedis. 24-hour economy office, 16 million Ghana cedis. We haven't even added them. So let nobody be swayed by Felix's falsehood. There is not a single civil servant part of the conversation we are having here. We are talking about pure political appointees. And I tell you what, when it comes to the pure political appointees that we speak of, the NDC government that lied to the people of this country that they will run a lean government is spending 248 million Akufo-Addo that they claim was expensive spent 153. Now, Umaru, listen to this logic. He was throwing around words. It doesn't make sense. It doesn't make. Let me show you what is senseless and completely illogical. You have a government that has 1,000 employees. That was spending 153 million. Then you have a government that has 808 employees and is spending 248 million. For you as a taxpayer, which one would you take?
I'll ask whether it is true that the new people who are receiving so much because the previous guys approved an emolument program for them, and that
is the most nonsensical, illogical conversation anybody will give to you, and that question is completely out of place. Listen, when you come and promise the people that you will give them a less expensive government, when you come and Umaru's salary is 20 million or 20,000 Ghana cedis, what you do, if indeed you want to live by your promise of reducing the cost on the taxpayer, is to take Umaru's salary from 20,000 to 15,000. That is what every sensitive government that is not trying to hoodwink the country will do.
Even if it is approved by a constitutionally set up committee, which is binding on the government.
What Akufo-Addo came to inherit in 2017, did he approve it himself? Was it not approved by Felix and his government?
Yes. And
was he not a deputy minister then?
And you stuck with it. And so they also stuck with what you left behind.
Exactly. We stuck with it and you said it was expensive. And so people should go and vote for you. And then when you come, you will make it less expensive. That was your promise.
Yeah, but so you said that the president said they'll set up a committee which would be which will be long lasting and which will not be at the whims and caprice of an outgoing president.
The president's committee is established at the end of the tenure. So they should finish squandering the 248 million, which is the most expensive cost on this taxpayer in the history of this country. And then when they finish, the president will do what? He will set up a committee so that they will give a refund. Is that what you are saying?
No, they said there will be a committee that will be long standing, which would not be at the whims and caprice of an outgoing president.
243 million. Would they give a refund of the 248 million? If you are not going to give a refund, then what are you complaining and discussing right now? Because it means that by the time you leave office, you would have been the most expensive government in the history of this country. That is what it is.
Very well.
Unless, of course, you are going to give a refund. But if you're not going to give a refund, clearly, Umaru, this government is spending 48 million in running the 808 people at the presidency. And Akufo-Addo spent 153 million. That is what the facts are. Okay. That is what the facts are. And so what you are telling the people of this country is that I promised you that when I come, I would make it less expensive. But you know, when I came, Akufo-Addo spent 153 million, but he approved 248 million for me. So me, I spent the 248 million because I didn't approve it. Akufo-Addo himself didn't spend the 248 million. He spent 153. If you say you want to reduce the burden, stop it.
Okay.
Don't pay that money. Then we know you want to reduce the burden. But if you know you didn't have the power to reduce the cost, how did you come to promise the people that you reduce the cost? Only for you to come and tell them that, oh, I'm not the one that sets the money. Okay. You are spending 248 million, the biggest in the history of this country, to run 808 people. That is a crime.
Before you take leave of us, as spokesperson of the opposition leader, what do you make of the resignations we are hearing of? One, a member of the Council of State has resigned. Two, Deputy EC chairperson has resigned.
There are even people in this government who are preparing to resign, and they are frustrated and ready to resign. I mean, you saw what happened between the finance minister and the agric minister. Agric minister clearly expressing frustration that he's being sabotaged. He called the finance minister an infantile propagandist. Clearly, this is a minister that if he gets opportunity, will resign. So I am not surprised. Already, this government has already been going after Bosman and the EC already. So if Bosman wants his peace of mind and his sanity, and he wants to resign, it is on the head of this government. They are destroying every single institution you can think about. And I'm not surprised that my auntie, Sophia Kufu, has resigned. I am not surprised because she would not take what the agric minister is taking.
But she didn't say anything. She said she's going home. She hasn't said why. And Bosman also said he's going back to the classroom. None of them have said that anything has been done to them by anybody in government.
No problem at all. No problem at all. They were happy to receive an appointment. They were excited. Of course, Bosman is not part, but the Chief Justice that we all know, the Honorable Chief Justice that we know, excitingly accepted an appointment. started working, and then barely 16 months, she came back and said, I won't do it again. You are insulting her intelligence if you think that she's happy and she's walking away. So Kufu would not walk away from a responsibility placed on her by the state if everything is all right. I know her. We come from the same area. I have engaged there, and I can tell you on authority that wait, in the next few days you will hear from her. Clearly, this is an unhappy person who really wanted to serve this country, but probably
the last time she was unhappy when you slashed her investment, she carried a placard and went to sit down and demonstrate.
Exactly. Yes,
so how come this time, since she resigned in September, she could have? In fact, I was with her at an event just 2 days ago. She could have spoken and said that things are not going well, but she hasn't.
You remember that she was the only person. She was the only person that spoke up against the criminal removal of the former Chief Justice. You remember?
Yeah, and the wicked haircuts against Ghanaians.
Yes, absolutely, it's fine. But you remember, she was the one that spoke against the criminal removal of the former Chief Justice.
I don't know if it's criminal, but yeah, I mean, I know it was constitutional.
You talk about wicked. I didn't know that about any wicked. You are using adjectives. I'm using mine.
No, you
can agree. You can disagree.
No problem.
I am telling you that the criminal removal of the former Chief Justice, Sophia Kufu, spoke up against it. And since then, she has never participated in anything they've done at that council.
Very well. Thank you so much for speaking.
You understand what I'm saying?
Yes, I get you.
So Omaru, as I conclude, what I am saying is that Felix should spare us the explanation and the train about of words. In the morning, they denied that the figure was not even 248 million. They denied. Beatrice Annan denied it publicly. In the evening, she is accepting and saying that, we are chopping 248, but we didn't give it to ourselves. Ekufo-Addo gave it to us. Meanwhile, the Ekufo-Addo who gave you 248 spent 153 million on themselves. This is the biggest scam we have experienced in this country. Only time will deal with this government appropriately.
Thank you so much for speaking to us. That's Dennis Miracles Abuaji. He speaks for Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, the flag bearer of the New Patriotic Party. Earlier, head Felix Kwachiofosu, Minister of State in charge of Government Communication. Dr. Jonathan Asante-Otri is Executive Director at the African Institute for Strategic Studies and Political Analysis. Doc, you're welcome to Eyewitness News. Hello, Doc. Can you hear me? Do I have Dr. or Asante? Yes. Can you hear me? It appears that the academia is getting one more returnee in the name of Dr. Eric Bosman-Asari. He's coming back to the classroom. He said the EC job on Yebium. Should it be seen as a problem or this should be seen as a normal thing? Because I was jokingly saying with my colleague that he's leaving a job where he had a military bodyguard, a V8 and a driver, and I'm sure an official bungalow, to go back to be an ordinary teacher. And you and I know the teacher's salary is not that much. So heaven is the only place that can save you.
Well, your question, sounds quite dicey. Let me say good evening to your good self and to you. I may not be able to hazard a guess as to what might have informed that particular decision. But in actual fact, I'm sure he might have been beleaguered by the fact that there were some petitions against them, and then the government, through the rule of law and prima facie, whatever you can say about the Chief Justice did not find anything of that sort. So it is a bit surprising that he will resign. In the case of Mr. Tete, I think his age, and then of course his resignation period, his retirement period has come. But Dr. Bosman has taken that particular decision. I think that he knows the reason, for that. Of course, he may want to also climb to the rank of a professor if he has all the publications that he feels that once he resigns and goes back, he'll be able to, put in and get that particular title. So there may be other reasons other than finance, or it could also be a matter of thinking that, well, I've done enough for my state or for the nation. I believe there is need to continue or further. Also have contributed in that decision processes that he might have undertaken. Other than that, as I said earlier on, he might have been triggered by the fact that there were, calls for their removal, including that of the commission itself.
Now,
and so maybe maybe he's done a lot of introspective analysis and it is time. I don't think that anybody as of now is hounding him, from that position. And if that were the case, then probably when the petitions came, he could have decided to resign on that time.
So it means that it looks to you as though this is a voluntary act.
Well, I have not seen any coercive force behind that because you see, the president is someone who is quite sober, and sometimes he wants to do a lot more of introspective reflection before he takes a particular decision. He thought it wise that once the Chief Justice, has assessed the petitions and did not find any prima facie, they did not pursue the case any further. I don't also want to hazard any kind of finding or go against him. I cannot hazard such a guess. It will be a wild goose chase, which I'm not ready to, to speculate on that particular score. So maybe with time we may hear substantive reasons that might have accounted for that. Besides, if there were any pressure, I'm very sure that saying that I want to resign, he could have resigned immediately. But it is taking effect on 31st of July. So it means that there is still time and space for him to do whatever he wants to do. I don't think anybody is pursuing him.
What about the former Chief Justice resigning also from the Council of State and the possible replacement?
Well, we all know her principles. She's a conservative type. The president knew very well that he wanted people with diverse views to be at the Council of State. So when she was nominated, accordingly appointed, I was able to determine the philosophical orientation of the president in the reason that might have informed his decision to appoint Sophia Akuffo. Everybody knows her stance. And so I think that it is just a matter of principle and, as it were, democracy, because the good old woman says that, well, she did not prefer any reason or reasons for a resignation. So anybody who is going into that, I think, is just a wild goose chase. It is just a matter of unnecessary opposition and then just muddying the waters. For the optics politically, people may speculate one reason or the other. There may be speculations here and there about the cause of a resignation, which others think that it could be traced to Madame Tokono's sacking and so on and so forth. But the woman says that there is no reason. They have impressed upon her to, as it were, have a second thought. That has not really happened. And so it is much ado about nothing if you go on a wild goose chase or speculation. If in a matter of weeks she decides to come out with whatever statement, I think that would be a bit unprofessional, to be a bit out of character. To be a bit out of character of the venerable former Chief Justice. Besides, I think that if that is the case, then democracy is the one that has won and nothing else. If the majority of the Council of State, says that, well, there is a prima facie, and if you think otherwise, it is a matter of democracy. Minority has had her view. Majority, they've had their way. That is what democracy works. And so it's a matter of principle. So if you feel otherwise, that woman's sacking is something that has, had a serious toll on you, for which reason you are resigning your position as such, well, that is her decision.
All right. Thank you so much for speaking to us, Doc.
Thank you, man.
That's Dr. Jonathan Asante-Okyere. He is Executive Director of the African Institute of Strategic Studies and Political Analyst. This is Eyewitness News on 97.3 Citi FM. I still have my colleague Fred Tete Jabano here. Do I have Lawyer Attah on the line? Honorable, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Great. I'm glad to see you looking very handsome on the screens. I'll be speaking to you in a jiffy about the situation with your new client, whom you just signed on a few hours ago. But I would also want your comment on what's happening. The former CJ resigning her position as Council of State member, and also the resignation of Eric Bosman-Asari. I would be asking your comment on these two issues briefly when I come back. But give me a moment. I want to do something else relating to what the Minister for Government Communication did today. Phyllis Kwachu-Ofosu, he did a press conference today, and on the number of issues he talked about was the matter around road infrastructure. I recall that the Fourth Estate, under the Media Foundation for West Africa, did an expose on the big push, and they said that this government was acting hypocritically. They said they were against sole sourcing. They came into government and they became a sole source factory. The minister responded after a report was given to the government by the Fourth Estate. I have Suleiman Abrahima, who is Executive Director of Media Foundation for West Africa. I'll speak to him in a bit after hearing Phyllis Kwachu-Ofosu.
Now, after a careful assessment of all the facts backed by documentary evidence, the report established that 1,441 project contracts have been awarded by the Ministry of Roads and Highways under the current John Mahama administration, with the following breakdown. The Ghana Highways Authority has awarded 405 road contracts. The Department of Feeder Roads has awarded 896. There are 23 legacy projects. In other words, these are projects that this government inherited, which have been reworked for various reasons. Then there's the consolidated projects, also known as big push projects, which are 63 in number that have been awarded. And then there's the main big push projects, which number 54. Out of a total of 1,441 projects, 1,301 were awarded through open or competitive tendering. So 1,301 out of 1,441 projects were awarded through open or competitive tendering, and these were publicly advertised.
That's Minister of State in charge of Government Communication, Phyllis Kwachu-Ofosu. Suleiman Abrahima, Executive Director, Media Foundation for West Africa. You're welcome to Eyewitness News.
Thank you very much, Omar.
So the press conference was very long, but we have done a summary. Abigail Arthur of the City Newsroom has done a story. Road Ministry followed procurement rules under big push, according to government. It's on our website, City Newsroom. I'll just read a brief summary. It says, government spokesperson Phyllis Kwachu-Ofosu has defended the procurement practices of the Ministry of Roads and Highways under the government's flagship Big Push Road Infrastructure Program, rejecting allegations by the Fourth Estate and the Media Foundation for West Africa that procurement laws were breached through the excessive use of single-source contracting. Having listened to the minister and having seen this story, the government is simply saying they asked you to bring a report, you brought it to them, they've done a study, and you have no case. You go home, but they appreciate you for what you have done. I mean, as journalists, typically you want to look for wrongdoing, but they said there was no wrongdoing.
Well, Omar, thank you very much. First of all, let me say that we are grateful to His Excellency the President for the confidence reposed in us and the actions that are often taken in relation to reports that are put out. And by action, I mean the fact that he would want to commence an investigation into something that has been done is an indication of the extent to which he values what we put out. But I didn't get the benefit of listening to the minister directly, but I've read a bit of whatever was said on City Online, and I've read it on other platforms. And I would want to believe that whatever is put out there on City Online and Joy Online and the others is a true reflection of what the minister said. And if it is so, I think that it is quite embarrassing and very, very disappointing. And it looks like the people who were commissioned by the president to do this inquiry set their own questions and provided their own responses. In fact, when my colleagues came across what has been put out, it reminded all of us about the analogy where you study about the forest and then you go to the exams room and the question that is asked is about what is a bird. And since you didn't study about a bird, then you say a bird is an animal that always perches on trees in the forest. And one may ask what is a forest. Then you go on to write about forest when the question is not about forest. Umaru, our report, the Fourth Estate's report, the publication was very clear that we are talking about big push. When the president invited us to submit a report on the basis of the back and forth that was happening, we were very clear in our response to the president that our report focused on the big push initiative, because that is where billions of cedis have been committed. Apart from that, whatever the ministry put out, or the minister put out today, is a complete rehash of whatever arguments that they had made when we put out the report. Umaru, in fact, when the Minister of Roads himself, after our publication, a day, I think the same day of our publication, appeared in Parliament, he addressed Parliament as in response to our publication, and he specifically limited himself to big push. So it is very shocking and surprising why a government committee would want to deceive the people of Ghana by making it look like we had said that all projects awarded under the ministry were what we were referencing. We were very clear in the report that we published, in our report to the president, that we are talking about big push. In fact, it all started with an RTI request to the Ministry of Roads and Highways, to the Department of Urban Roads, to Ghana Highway Authority, and the Department of Feeder Roads. And in all these requests, we were specific that we want information on projects awarded by the agencies and the ministry under big push. Indeed, in the response that was provided to us by the ministry and the Ghana Highway Authority, which then formed the basis of our story, the response was clear that pursuant to your requested information, attached here are the projects that have been awarded under government's big push project. And in fact, the table that contained the name of road, name of contractor, amount, award date, type of procurement that was used was labeled Master Big Push List. So if the story and everything we are talking about is how projects awarded by the ministry under government's big push initiative, if that was what we were talking about,
okay,
why would they go and be talking about 1,000 projects?
But Mr. Rama, just a question. So even if they granted that they expanded it, the big push would just be a fraction of that. But they have said that overall, no wrongdoing has been found. Based on the work you did you find any wrongdoing where there's a matter that can be dealt with the Commission on Human Rights and Administrative Justice or the courts or the police?
Umaru, I think that we need to discuss everything in the context of what prompted the president's inquiry and the report that we submitted. You cannot present your case in court and then in the deliberations you go and add other things and then add on. It's almost like saying if a journalist does a story about a particular ministry and the procurement of contracts that have been done in that ministry, then in your response, you now lump every ministry together and say, under this government, this is what has been done. So if you put everything together, what they talked about under one ministry is nothing. And we are talking about the quantum of money. Look, when we did the report, we indicated that the data they gave us had 107 road projects. And out of the 107, all these are big push projects. 81 of them, constituting 76% of the total big push projects that they had given us, were sole sourced. And the amount involved is 73.4 billion. Umaru, I am challenging the ministry to publish the full list of the 1,000 plus projects that they claim they have awarded, and let us see whether that would amount to anywhere close to this 73 billion. We are talking about projects that one project under Big Push, one project is almost $500 million. If you take the Afram Plains, the bridge over River Afram, $497 million. That's one project. If you take the Dambai Bridge, it's over 3 billion. We are talking about projects that are hundreds of millions. 400 million, 600 million, 700. The list you see will be tens of millions.
Okay.
That is what we are talking about. We are not talking about the contracts for road markings that the ministry has given.
Right.
We are not talking about contracts for clearing of road medians that the road ministry has given. We are not talking about contracts for filling of potholes that the road ministry has given. So if you go and put all those things, contracts for road markings, contracts for potholes, contracts for clearing of road medians, and then you say we have awarded 1,000 plus projects, and those ones were competitive tendering and so on and so forth. Oh, the fundamental point is that even what they have put out, what the minister put out, is saying that out of the 117 big push contracts that the John Mahama administration are awarded under the John Mahama administration, not even one went on competitive tendering.
All right. So
and is that in line with all that the president has been saying? First State of the Nation's address, second State of the Nation's address, the NDC manifesto, when they talk about sole sourcing must be the reality and not the norm. Then you go and bring contracts for potholes, patching and all those things, then you lump all together. When our report did not talk about all those things, we said big push. Why are they running away from big push and adding all those things?
All right.
This is completely deceptive.
Before you go, though,
yes.
just out of curiosity, there's a photo that you put up with the president a few days ago. You said you went to visit him. Then a few days later, the government issues a statement that poo-poos your work. Just out of curiosity, could it be that you were invited and told that, listen, your report was bad, so we are going to let the Ghanaians know, or they had a conversation with you and you were all happy and cozy, so now they've come out to say that your thing that you did know, nothing there inside? Hello, Sule. Hello? Hello, Sule.
Hello, Mo.
Yes, did you hear my question?
No, I didn't.
Well, I'm saying that a few days ago, we saw a photo of you and the president. You went to the Jubilee House, and then a few days later, your report has been poo-pooed by the government.
Yes.
Was that to prepare you for the eventual rejection of your report?
No, I wouldn't say that. In fact, when we met, this didn't come up. And of course, when you have that opportunity to meet with the president, you don't try to say, okay, Mr. President, our report or the report that you invited, what is happening, and so it was a completely different conversation. Okay. But like I said, I don't think that what has happened under the big push, based on their own report, is a representation and a reflection of the principle that the president has always espoused.
Very well.
That you award 117 major contracts worth close to 100 billion, and not even one went on competitive tendering.
Right.
Let us focus on the sole sourcing. Our report was about sole sourcing. Our report to the president was about big push contracts. Our report to the president was about big push.
Okay.
And we need to focus on big push.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Suleiman Abraham is Executive
Thank you very much,
Director of the Media Foundation for West Africa. Former Member of Parliament for Ibuakwa South, lawyer Achia Zoe and Associates, and newly appointed lawyer for Chairman Wontumi. Honorable Attah-Mensah, good evening and welcome to Eyewitness News.
Good evening, my brother and friend.
I want to say congratulations on getting your new job. But before we do that, what's your comment on the former CJ resigning from the Council of State? I don't think I've heard of this before. And now Boss Manasari is also saying that he's resigning from EC to go back to the classroom. Should we smell anything, or this is a regular thing? People say they don't want to do a job and they are going home.
Certainly, we should have the context. If not, we cannot make any meaningful contribution to why the resign from those positions? Is it fatigue, infirmity of body, or what? What is it that will prompt a whole former CJ to leave that constitutional office? So I'm tempted to say that we don't have the full facts, but if it's based on principles, then we have good people in the realm. At the end of the day, what will make a country tick and get to the realm of prosperity? There are people who are principles driven and value driven, rather than individuals who are fixated with offices and the perquisites. So until I have the full facts, I'm unable to say too many things about the resignation of the former CJ and also the lecturer who got involved with the electoral affairs and the rest of it. I cannot explain why, but I pray that in his case, he might have been feeling like a cockroach in a garden of fowls, because at the end of the day, before the NDCV came to power, I mean, there were war drums, and they would flash them out, and all kinds of things they said. And I don't know whether he believes that the job is not good for him. And
except no one went after him since they came. But I think there was a petition that was. I'm not sure whether he was part of the people that had a petition against. He was generally not. Nobody mentioned him. Maybe his boss rather was the one that was mentioned, but I don't think they've talked about him. Or you think that he may have heard things that you and I will not hear about?
Certainly, when you hear that your neighbor's beard is burning, then if you are wise, you just find water around in the event that they want to burn your beard. I mean, you know how to douse it. All the things that they might be saying about your boss could minister to you have conscience. Is that how you want to treat somebody? Because if there's a protest, it should come from Bossman. That is a very funny woman. I can't work under this woman. But the war drums were outside the Electoral Commission. It was coming from NDC. So I pray to God that I don't veer into areas that are funny. Let
me bring you back before you go there so that you don't go and commit yourself any further. Let me ask you about something you have a very good brief on, which is a new job you've been given to represent the interests of Bernard Ntwebo-Siakun, popularly known as Chairman Wontumi. We've seen a communication he issued today announcing you as his lawyer. Last week, we saw the information around his lawyer and Diapia Kubi intending to withdraw. There was a whole discussion in court, or there was a whole proceeding in court today. There was a debate, and the court rejected that. I don't know if you were in court today when the court rejected the withdrawal application brought by Andy Apia Kubi. If you could give us an education, first of all, on the circumstances under which a lawyer can leave the employer or contract of a client, and how the procedure in court panned out today, before I ask you about your own new role.
Yeah, okay, thank you, sir. I was not in court because I was very much buried in the Kwabena Dubuahin trial. So I was not physically present. But I heard that and the appeal could be tabled the motion to withdraw, and the judge said she has issues with the motion. That's what I heard. Because I'm told that the judge said you could have filed a bare notice of withdrawal without coming with a motion. Be that it may, I wouldn't want to get the understanding that the judge will fetter him not to leave. So I think he's released. That's what I hear. But the judge was only saying that you could file a notice of withdrawal without an accompanying affidavit. That's what I heard.
Can a lawyer be prevented from refusing? Okay, so if I'm a lawyer and I say I don't want to represent somebody again, in this case, like what Andy Apia Kubi has said, can a court compel a person to remain lawyer for somebody even if they don't agree to? I've seen a writer by Samson Adiayeni that suggested that, well, the issues are a bit complex, but in practice, how does it work?
Well, a judge cannot compel a lawyer not to exit a case, because the judge is not the one who hired that lawyer in the matter in the first instance. So a notice to withdraw, you see, is indicative of the fact that the law itself has opened a window through which people can get out of a case. Because it's a whole process. notice of withdrawal of representation should indicate to everybody that a lawyer can get out of a case if he serves a requesting notice. So I do not see any literature I've read anywhere that they will bind you in fetters that at all means and at all costs represent an individual that you, in your conscience and your professional judgment, you don't want to represent.
Okay, so it means you cannot be forced to be lawyer for somebody in the case like we're discussing.
At all. But when you are being forced to act against your will, then what kind of professional, excellence would you deliver? Because at the end of the day, you are not working, in a professional way. It's against your will. And when you are defending a man against your will, how best can you do it?
Very well.
So it doesn't accord with common sense.
So what is the communication that was given to you by your client today? Did he say to you that he has effectively fired? Because that's also another option. He could have chosen to fire his lawyer. Did he say to you that he has fired Andy Appiah-Kubi and he was hiring you? What is the communication?
Well, because it's banal and there's nothing secretive about it. The only thing that I know is that Andy had indicated to my latest client that he wants to exit the case. So he was not fired. It was his voluntary announcement to him, to me, for some consideration. I do not see myself continuing with this case. That's as far as I know. And then he came to me and said, Andy has prompted him that he might want to exit the case, but would I find it good to come to his help? And I said, well, why not? I will be able to do that, provided I always have a formal communication with Andy, and then Andy informs me that he's no longer going to represent him. Because I think that this case is very sensitive. So for we to have a vacuum in terms of he not having legal representation, will not sit well with the criminal justice delivery system. It will not be too good because you know where they are. The lawyer is supposed to marshal the arguments and file what they call in law the written submissions, just to say that they've not proven their case beyond reasonable doubt. The strength of the written submission, if it's based on evidence and law, will be good enough to secure an acquittal. Most lawyers will agree with me that is how it works. That if you are able to put together a very credible, written submission based on the law and the evidence, and it persuades the judge that, look, the law is on the side of the accused person. The evidence is also not proven beyond reasonable doubt. I have to acquit him. So at this juncture, is too sensitive for him to be abandoned. And I can say that is one of the considerations that made me elect to help him.
I see. Now, but the difficulty and the criticism is that you hung on throughout the trial as lawyer. Just after the judge announced that everything was done, we're going for judgment, then you make an announcement that you are quitting. Now, there's a view that this is a political, tactical move intended to prevent the judgment from being delivered on the 3rd of July. Because now that you have been contracted as lawyer, of course, it's going to be a very tall order again. So July 3rd will definitely, you're supposed to file addresses by 24th. Practically, is that possible for you to do ahead of the delivery of judgment on July 3rd, even though you're a new lawyer in the case?
Yeah, so first of all, don't pay too much heed to the workers of iniquity, because whatever the scenario, they'll put a spin on it. Because some people do not even understand the justice delivery system. They are very strong on propaganda. So I wouldn't want to be drawn into that. But what it is that if a lawyer says that I will not continue with the case, is he trying to say that that will pave the way for another lawyer to come in? So if I never come into the case, what will happen to the case? So for anybody to impute bad motives to Andy Appiah-Kubi or even to me himself is distasteful. The man has said a few things I don't want to repeat here relating to what informed him to withdraw from the case. I leave it to him. But to say that, this is a delay tactic, to ensure that the judgment is not delivered at the appropriate date. I believe it sits well with those who believe that let's run an ambulance criminal justice delivery system. We want people in prison as quickly as we want. So we score political points. That is not democracy and I mean fair trial and the rest of them. So
but there's another
the case is not
argument
running
that
anywhere.
there's another argument that a swift trial is also a proper judge, a proper judicial or proper legal system where both clients or accused and the state get to have justice dispensed as quickly as possible so people move on. Because you would agree with me that Chairman Wontumi has multiple cases in court. If he manages to have this one swiftly done, which is what the state is actually working on, it should be all good. Whether or not it goes in his favor, at least justice would have been dispensed with quickly. You do not think we should do expedited trials?
But an ambulance mode is subversive of justice. Counsel, you know that by now. That in somebody's indecent haste to secure, convictions, the case is hurried. That to the point that somebody wants to go and eat, and the judge will say, "No, you can't go and eat. Continue with the case." What are you talking about? I was talking to a lawyer, and he was telling me that how can some judges believe that, because of the special sensitivity about the Attorney General's mood to get people prosecuted, if we could start the case at 9 o'clock and close at 6 o'clock, then justice is being delivered. And I pose the question, which case in the realm will judges spend close to 7 hours? Those cases do not matter, is that not so? Those cases where the judges say that, look, I will give you just an hour because there's a queue that I have. They are not important cases. But when it comes to the Attorney General's cases that they believe that they should be rushed, like they need to take somebody to the theater, then every lawyer should stop his work and be in the mood of the Attorney General. What kind of justice is that? I don't understand that. So nobody should, with all respect to lawyers, nobody should overly stall the case. But to run an ambulance case and say that even the diary of the lawyer aiding the accused person doesn't matter. Whether you have a case or not, I'm fixing it. Come and continue. The kind of, if you like, cruel situations that you find yourself in. What about the other clients who are also, asking for his attention?
People who watch,
so please,
people who watch Judge Kwesi's trial would laugh at this statement you've made. And people who have seen the election petition of 2020 where the Supreme Court decided we need to do this in an expedited manner and put a lot of things on hold and lawyers had to stay focused just on this particular petition matter, I would also say, what is Attah talking about? It has happened before, it is precedent, and let it proceed. Let justice be done, even if it has to be swift.
Let me tell you something. People take for granted this whole business of criminal justice. You understand? When you lose an election petition, you go to jail.
But in Judge Kwesi's case,
is your family dismembered?
But in Judge Kwesi's case, it would have been fatal.
Was he going to go to jail?
It was a criminal. It was a criminal trial.
You see, why should anybody say that even if that was the situation, that was a good environment of criminal justice delivery? So if it is far with just Kwesi, it's far also here. I would not subscribe to any situation that let's do equalization. That's a very low-cost governance system I hate.
Finally,
we shouldn't do equal.
Do you have time, though? Because 24th is when you're supposed to file addresses. Are you ready? Or will you be ready?
Well, it led me to do my war game in the law firm because at the end of the day, I will ensure and plead that I should be afforded the opportunity to give him the best treatment. And I believe every judge who doesn't believe that somebody should suffer unduly should understand the judgment can be delivered, but let the judgment be delivered because every input requisite for the judgment has been provided. And nobody is going to use any tactics to stall the case, provided always that we have afforded him an opportunity for him to be heard, especially in the professional dimension and the work of written submission. People do not see how important the written submission is to the entire case, because it's like you are summarizing the case for the judge to consider whether the case has been proven beyond reasonable doubt, and therefore it should announce the innocence of the accused persons.
Okay.
And the consequences are there if that professional work is not properly done. That's my humble view.
So, which means you can take the files from Api Akubi and co. and prepare your written submission or address and deliver it on 24th as is expected by the courts.
Yeah, if I should have all the gamut of what is there, but my preference is to have what is before the judge. They call it the record of proceedings.
You don't have that yet.
If the judge is ready to give the judgment, then my understanding is that he has a full gamut of the record of proceedings. And what the judge is having, I want to have it too.
So your first task would be to apply for that and then proceed thereof.
Oh, certainly I'm going to do that. I'm not going to waste any time in applying for that, so that I'll be able to internalize it.
Okay.
And then I'll be able to do a good job. I promise to do a good job, no more.
Wish you all the best, and thank you so much for speaking to us.
My pleasure as always.
That's Honorable Attah. He's a lawyer, a former member of parliament, a former minister of state. This is Eyewitness News on 97.3 Citi FM. We'll be back with more. Please stay with us.
Witness News. Be there as it happens.
Hey, Charlie, these days there are Azan everywhere, and GCB Bank is on the alert to protect your money. So be vigilant. I should share my OTP with you. How can you tell me this story? Masa, one-time PIN may be group work, so don't share. Azan, they say share your PIN for them to help you. Azan, on no link be no click so Azan, free ATM help, say. My friend, look sharp. GCB Bank will never ask for a PIN, OTP, or Ghana card details. Don't fall victim. Think before you click or send anything. Azan Boys Day Street. So DG, call 0800-422-42223 or WhatsApp 0202-422-422 when in doubt. Azan is brought to you by GCB Bank, your bank for life.
These days, some mattresses are being made from all kinds of unsafe materials that are not fit for sleeping surfaces. These materials may be cheap, but they can be harmful to your health. If you haven't slept well, you cannot work and think well, and you are ultimately putting your health at risk, which can cause you a lifetime discomfort and chronic pain. As responsible citizens, we should invest in safe, durable, and certified mattresses. Latex Foam remains the tried and tested brand we all love for almost 60 years now. They offer you unmatched quality and durability for every Ghanaian home. Talk to them on 0302-231-155 in Accra and 03220-29365 in Kumasi for all your inquiries, or walk into any of their outlets nationwide for your preferred choices. Do not settle for less. Go for quality, but Latex Foam, or else you do yourself. Latex Foam, your partner for life.
Looking for a location that gives your business a competitive edge? Dawa Industrial Zone offers world-class facilities, direct access to major trade hubs, and a thriving business ecosystem. Whether you are setting up in the manufacturing, logistics, or services, our ready-to-use industrial spaces and supportive policies make expansion easy. Visit www.diz-ghana.com or call 055-20-40,000. Dawa Industrial Zone, where businesses thrive.
Charlie, I'm nice. I get some serious meeting. Allah, motion. But Charlie, no credit today. Oh, but you relax. More day.
Hey, what funny.
Yes, so I borrow small, sort myself out, I pay back. We move. Spot there. Ah, Charlie, you sure say you dey pay back? Yes, so that anytime somebody else they need them, Momo day. Be like I for can't borrow some more. Hey, you this boy. Don't go there and disgrace yourself. Allah motion. Respect.
Responsible borrowing with a real Flexo for today's needs and tomorrow's dreams. Borrow, sort them, pay back. Momo Day.
Hello, good afternoon. I am calling from your bank. We are currently experiencing a system downtime, so we need to secure your account. Please, can you confirm your account number and your login details so we can restore access immediately? Yes, your username and password, just to verify.
Beware of fraudsters. Your bank will never ask for your login details, PIN or password over the phone. Shine your eye. Spot the fraud. Stop the fraud. This message is brought to you by the Ghana Association of Banks.
If you spot the fraud, you go fit to stop the fraud. Make him know they lose God.
Hey, Kwame, why are you inspecting the cables like you suspect something?
Hey, Kofi, these days, the market's hard, oh. Substandard cables everywhere. Last week, someone nearly burned somebody's house.
Hey, that's why me, if it no be Nexon's cable metal low smoke anti-counterfeit cable, I know they touch them.
What did they do different?
My brother, if fire catch, some cables go smoke till you know fi see front. But with Nexon's cable metal low smoke anti-counterfeit cable, the smoke reduce well. People fi escape. It is save lives. Plus, it reduce the release of toxic gases. And you fi verify say it be the authentic cable by just scanning the cable with the Nexon's app, even if them use the cable wire safe.
So it be like choosing safety first, eh?
Exactly. Authentic, quality, original. Nexon's cable metal no they disappoint. All cables no be the same, oh. Don't just chase price. Go for proven quality products, proudly made in Ghana. Nexon's cable metal low smoke cable. This is the future of cabling in Ghana.
Electricity no get leg. It be Nexon's cable metal cable they carry up.
Everybody they sell, but your shop they empty.
Where's my report?
Bro, month no end here too. But see, your pocket stop they take. Another emergency for the house?
Shit, come and get ideas. Ideas go kill them.
Another idea, another mark time. No capital to start. For some people, this silence no be peaceful. It be money matter.
With bills, there's no need for silence. From my emergency loans to salary loans to working capital loans and startup loans, Bills has you covered.
Apply with your Ghana card today. Call 0596 920 833 or 0302 200 390. Bills, financing your needs. T's and C's apply.
Eyewitness News. Be there as it happens.
This Eyewitness News on 97.3 Citi FM. I am Umaru Sanda-Amadu. It's now time for business news on Eyewitness News. And I've dragged into the studio the head of business here, Ni Latte. Ni, what's happening in the world of business?
Well, so there is good news for farmers across the country because tomorrow Ghana, the government rather, is distributing 10,000 and more bags of fertilizer to, smallholder farmers. And this is part of the Feed Ghana program. You know about it, the agri program that the government is rolling out as part of its flagship programs to ensure that there is increase in yields and also farmers are better off, as it makes agri one of the pivots around which, economic transformation in the country revolves.
I like the whole fertilizer thing, but sometimes when they politicize it and they divert it and all of those matters, it really becomes a worrisome one. I'm hoping that this one will not be diverted and it will not and it will be given to people regardless of their political colors. So those are some of the things that really bring this
Well, we'll hear from the agri minister tomorrow, so I'm sure he'll be laying out some of the policy measures they've put in place to ensure that there is free, equitable distribution of these, bags of fertilizer.
Please give us the rest of the stories.
Hello and welcome to Citi Business News on Eyewitness News on 97.3 Citi FM. I am Ni Latte. Let's settle for the details now. Government will begin distributing 40,000 bags of fertilizer to peasant farmers across the country from Tuesday, June 16, to boost agricultural productivity and increase crop yields. The initiative forms part of the government Feed Ghana program to support smallholder farmers with critical inputs to improve food production and strengthen food security. Speaking to Citi Business News, the national coordinator of the Feed Ghana program, Bright Demoji, said the fertilizer distribution exercise is intended to reduce production costs for farmers and increase output during the current farming season.
Our focus is to ensure that our farmers, especially the small-scale farmers, increase their production and productivity. And one of the tools that we use to increase productivity is crop nutrition. That's nutrition management. And if you work across the country, the peasant farmer groups cut across all the various crop zones across the country. They are national in character. So the Feed Ghana program is collaborating with the membership of the Peasant Farmer Association to be able to reach out to them across the length and breadth of the country, organize their database, and the focus is to ensure that we distributed it to reach all their members across the country. This is to ensure that the crop and they use the fertilizers to increase the yield, leading to an increase in productivity.
Bright Demoji is the national coordinator of the Feed Ghana program. The managing director of the Ghana Stock Exchange, Abena Amwa, has disclosed that the exchange is actively advancing plans to list state-owned enterprises to unlock value in key sectors of the economy. According to her, the initiative, which has received strong backing from President John Dramani Mahama, will improve corporate governance, enhance transparency, and broaden investment opportunities for Ghanaians. Speaking at the official listing ceremony of Kasapreko PLC on the Ghana Stock Exchange, Abnamwa said the proposed listing of SOEs forms part of a broader strategy to expand Ghana's capital market and increase participation.
We are actively advancing the listing of SOEs. The program, strongly supported by His Excellency the President, affirmed during his recent visit to the London Stock Exchange. We believe this initiative will unlock value, strengthen governance, and deepen our markets further. Looking ahead, we remain committed to expanding listings with Ghana's private sector, AGI President, and with you in the room. Advancing frameworks for commercial bank listings in collaboration with the Bank of Ghana, our regulator, SEC, and other stakeholders. And thirdly, intensifying investor education. Ladies and gentlemen, Kasapreko's listing is not just a corporate milestone. It's a powerful signal of what is possible when strong Ghanaian enterprises access the right capital with a supportive market ecosystem.
That was Managing Director of the Ghana Stock Exchange, Abena Amwa. Moving on, fuel prices are expected to decline from tomorrow as the second pricing window of June takes effect, offering relief to consumers and businesses. Well, petrol is projected to record the sharpest drop at 9.31%, followed by diesel at 1.65% and liquefied petroleum gas, that's LPG, at 0.52%, according to the latest outlook from the Chamber of Oil Marketing Companies, COMAC. The chamber attributes the expected reduction to a significant fall in international refined petroleum products prices, marking the steepest decline so far in 2026. Meanwhile, energy analyst Benjamin Nisian says consumers should not expect an immediate pass-through of the revised fuel price floors announced by the National Petroleum Authority for the second pricing window of June. Petrol's price floor has been reduced to 13.39% per litre from 15.20%. And while diesel has dropped at 15 cedis 11 pesos from 15 Ghana cedis 49 pesos per litre.
Well, I think that if you observe last window and this window, prices are very higher. Maybe one or two of them are setting their prices within the range of the floor. But most of the OMCs are setting higher prices above the floor. And that means that some of the OMCs were not getting the products cheaper from the BDCs, and maybe we're also procuring the product on credit. And also depends on the arrangement or the business model of these OMCs. Some operate what we call company or dealer operate, Some operate dealer-owned, company-operate. Some operate dealer-owned, dealer-operate. So varying these business models, I think that prices may not plummet as the floor price has seen some drastic decline published by the regulator. I think that some of the companies will still see their price of petrol above 14 Ghana cedis per litre, and others still also seeing their diesel above 15 Ghana cedis per litre.
Benjamin Isia is an energy analyst. The founder of AB and David Ofosu-Dorte, says Ghana needs a rethink of how transportation systems are managed with stronger state involvement in urban mobility. He notes that no properly functioning city leaves transport entirely in private hands, stressing that it is a critical public system that requires coordination. There is more in the following report.
Speaking on Channel 1 TV's second roundtable discussion as part of the City Business Festival, David Ofosu-Dorte cautioned that weak oversight of transport systems could disrupt socio-economic activities.
People must have access to socio-economic facilities. You came to work from some place. I came to work. I must move. That's the essence of movement. Then you will find out that 27% of London's mass is devoted to roads and mass transit. Accra is 14%. So clearly, much as we have a larger landmass, we have a lesser amount of the landmass devoted to roads. Then we have structured our roads in such a way that the way terminals are controlled, we have something called PNDC Law 317, which is now repealed under the Road Traffic Act. The way it is, we left the control from the public sector to the private sector. This is quite important. You can't have any functioning city where transportation is in private sector hands. You can show me one example, I will be happy. It's not.
No functioning city
has transportation
has transport
in the private sector hands. Not even in America, where privatization is so important that police is quote unquote privatized.
For his part, the president of the Ghana Institute of Architects, Tony Asari, raised concerns about the limited number of architects working within metropolitan, municipal and district assemblies, warning that it could affect planning and development outcomes.
The Ghana Institute of Architects, for the past year or so, we've been raising this issue of the lack of even the presence of architects alone in the MMDAs. I mean, out of the 261 MMDAs, they don't have more than 10 or 12 architects. 269 now. Well, okay. Now, so and they don't have any. Only 10 architects or 12 architects or so. So, if we decide that we want to create a market or want to create a certain urban milieu, who creates that vision?
Meanwhile, Nana Kojo Echampon, Senior Manager of Real Estate Financing at Absa Bank Ghana, outlined the key factors financiers and investors consider before committing funds to real estate projects.
For any financial institution, right, you have a fiduciary duty to your stakeholders, right, so which means that you are protecting their investment and returning value to it. So that means before you do any investment, right, you are looking at, okay, the project. Is it bankable or is it viable? So this means if I put my money into the project, right, will I get the expected returns to ensure that, look, one, values return to the promoters of the development as well as my various stakeholders. And this is where sometimes there's a bit of a challenge where projects are not bankable or viable.
The second roundtable discussion, which was on the theme Building Competitive Cities, Infrastructure, Innovation and Investment for Sustainable Economic Growth, also drew insight from Ya Obnewa, the executive representative of the Ghana Institute of Engineers, Percy Anaba Bukari, president of the Ghana Institute of Planning, and Kojo Ofori Amanfo, managing director of LMI Homes Limited.
Emmanuel Opon with that report. The 2026 City Business Festival is powered by 97.3 Citi FM and Channel 1 Television in partnership with Absa Bank. Proud sponsors include Absa Bank, MTN, Zonda Ghana Limited, as well as Petra Trust. That's the latest in the world of business. I am Neil Lati. Back to you, Sanda.
Thank you so much, Neil Lati, head of business here at Citi FM and Channel 1 Television. It's now time for Talk Back, and I'll be bringing your views after this.
Eyewitness News. Be there as it happens.
You know that feeling when you're getting ready for work. Your shirt is still crumpled and the iron is just starting to warm up. Or you're late for the wedding and now about to blow dry your hair. Or you have just stocked up meat for the cold store and then suddenly, oh, light off. Life just keeps getting paused. But what if your roof, yes, your roof, could keep things running in your homes and businesses? With EcoBank ASAP, you can switch to solar now by getting a loan to buy solar power systems with no upfront cost and easy repayment. Power your life through EcoBank's vetted solar vendors and lower your power bills over time.
Take back your power with EcoBank ASAP. EcoBank, the Pan-African Bank.
June is for business here at Citi FM and Channel 1 TV. This June, the ideas get bolder and the future of Ghanaian business takes center stage. Welcome to the City Business Festival 2026. For the entire month of June, 97.3 Citi FM and Channel 1 TV bring together the thinkers, builders, innovators, and dreamers shaping the future of enterprise in Ghana. From powerful business forums that spark meaningful conversations to insightful on-air discussions with industry leaders and change makers, to stories of resilience, innovation, and ambition from Ghanaian entrepreneurs. This is more than a festival. It is a movement of ideas, strategy, and impact. Whether you're starting small, scaling big, or simply dreaming of your next breakthrough, the City Business Festival is your platform to learn, connect, and grow. Join the on-air series every weekday at 9 a.m. on the City Breakfast Show on 97.3 Citi FM and at 11 a.m. with a repeat at 6 p.m. on Channel 1 TV. This June, let's challenge businesses. Let's refine ideas. Let's create impact. Call 0205-973-973 for further details. City Business Festival 2026, driving ideas into impact. The City Business Festival 2026 is powered by 97.3 Citi FM and Channel 1 TV in partnership with Absa Bank, and it's proudly sponsored by Absa Bank, MTN, Zonda Ghana Limited, and Petra Trust.
30 years ago, MTN arrived in Ghana and everything changed. Now, to celebrate 30 years, we are giving back big time. The MTN at 30 promo is here. 9 Toyota Land Cruiser Prados to be won. Over 10 million Ghana cedis in rewards, plus so much more. Connect to your everyday hustle on MTN. Make video calls. Browse the internet for business with family and friends. Connect your home to MTN Fiber. Make that money move on Momo and stay ahead because every move counts. Ghana, let's celebrate 30 years of MTN with the MTN at 30 promo. Use more MTN services, build more points, and win big. Dial *530# or visit the My MTN app for more.
Eyewitness News. Be there as it happens.
Yeah, welcome back. This is Eyewitness News on 97.3 Citi FM. It's now time to hear from you, and Fred Jabano is in studio to help me bring the views that you've been sending through to us in this segment known as Talkback. Fred, take it over.
Yes, so on Talkback, we start with Hamdan, no number 9, no 10. So Hamdan, no 9, no 10 from Nyohini South. What an interesting name.
Last week, when Hamdan sent the message, I said, Hamdan, he wrote number 9 and number 10. He wrote number 9 and number 10, and I said he should explain to me because it can't be from number 9 and number 10. Now he's saying no number 9 and no number 10. I don't understand. From New South.
Hamdan comes with a different name every time. So Hamdan no number 9, no number 10 from Nyohini South. He says the resignation of Sophia Kufu as a member of the Council of State is not a surprise to some of us at all, since she comes from the MPP and has MPP blood running through her veins. She can't be comfortable with this government, especially when the government is succeeded. Hamdan, I don't think that it's fair to say the former Chief Justice is MPP.
It's not proper.
It's not proper.
She's one of the key or fiercest critics of the MPP government.
Yes. Baba Chairman of Tamale says, trust me, the resignation of these people are long overdue, considering the threats from the NDC before, during, and after the election. So this is in relation to Dr. Bosman and Mr. Tete of the Electoral Commission. We have Kunlan Nathaniel Bella from Jonohus Naswan district. Dr. Bosman Asari has backed Naswan district. Okay. So he says Dr. Bosman Asari has backed Jean Mensa to cause so much harm to this country by the wrong and multiple figures which were churned out after the 2020 elections. Up to now, not even Bosman Asari or Jean Mensa can give an accurate and official results of the 2020 elections, coupled with multiple killings and violence. Famous is his Bosman Asari's comment that the NDC was a threat to Ghana's democracy and the so-called recollation exercise in the 2024 general elections. He's running from his own shadow and from accountability, but he will certainly face justice. So this is this. This is coming from Koku Bansa from Abutia. Koku says, and speaking of things falling apart, Deputy EC Chair Dr. Bosman Asari has resigned effective July 31st, 2026, whilst his colleague Samuel Tete has retired, leaving 2 vacancies at the top of the Electoral Commission. Well. The NDC spent years screaming that Bosman Asari, Samuel Tete, and Jean Mensa must go. 2 down, 1 to go. The seats are warm and empty. Mr. President, the people are watching. Fill them, or was the campaign promise just hot air too? That is Kokubansa from Abutia. We have Daniel Akpaliok from Sandema. He says Dr. Bosman Asari cannot evade accountability through resignation. Resigning from office does not absolve one of responsibility for decisions taken whilst in office. His role in denying the people of South parliamentary representation remains a matter of public concern, among other issues that deserve scrutiny. Whether he resigns or not, accountability must prevail. Public office is a sacred trust, and those entrusted with it must be prepared to answer for their actions. This is from Daniel from Sandema.
Let me bring other messages that are coming through here on Talkback. And it says, with regards to resignation of Mrs. Sophia Akufo, it's rather unfortunate. Her inclusion as a member of Council of State gives a certain balance to the governance system. We wish her well. As for Bosman and Co., the least said about them, the better. That's from Jones Adoboy in La. Teodano Kingsley Sopio in Mpesem in Poho district of the Western region says the resignation of Samuel Tete is far long overdue. Okay, he retired. It is rather Bosman who resigned. This is time for Jean Mensa to also resign, as Bosman did, in order to sanitize the EC. This message says Martin Amidu's comments on Sophia Akufo's resignation misrepresented the situation. While transparency is important, her decision might be a personal matter, not a reflection of the judiciary's integrity or the handling of the Justice Tokono case. Dismissing her choice undermines her contribution and the complexities surrounding such roles in public service. That's Wills Uganda Botia 30 in the Volta region. The president unjustly removed CJ Tokono in September 2025. Former CJ Sophia Akufo resigned from the Council of State in September 2025, right after the unjust removal. The regime tightly kept the news of the resignation from the public at that time. It will be fair if the presidency tells Ghanaians the feedback the Council of State got after engaging CJ Sophia when she tendered her resignation, as explained by Phyllis Kwachi. Until that is done, it would be fair to relate her resignation to the removal of CJ Tokono, Jacob Akazusa from Pusiga in the Upper East region. Now, Jacob, I think Felix Kwachi explained at the press conference that when the Council of State reached out, they returned and said that there was no bad blood between the government side and the the appointee, and so that's why they recommended the acceptance of the letter. Let me bring you some other messages. And the selective application of the so-called principles by Madame Sophia Akufu led many to view her as a populist rather than a principled person. She remained silent while serving on the bench when the EC chair, Charlotte Osei, was removed without what many considered a fair hearing. However, she later voiced concerns about the lack of a fair hearing when the same legal framework was used in removing the Chief Justice, Madam Araba. This raises the question of whether her reaction was influenced by the fact that Madam Araba was her colleague on the bench. Comrade Issa Tamimu sending that message from Boko. This one from Charles Luanga in Sunyani, and he says it is commonsensical that the salaries of 2021 are not the same as today. I have experienced better living conditions compared to January 2017 to January 2025. So the OGM, the Office of Government Machinery Budget and Expenditure, is not a bother to me. That's Charles. Fred, who else is sending messages?
So this comes without a name. He says, so Madam Sophia Akufu resigned in September 2025 without public awareness until the news was leaked to the media last week before Felix made the announcement today. The NDC government can't be trusted. And there's another one from Prof Intema who says, if you limited yourself to Big Push, how could you have drawn the conclusion that the ministry has become the headquarters of soul sourcing? It is the ministry only for Big Push. From Prof.
So that's in reference to the issue around the interview I did with Suleiman Ibrahim on the Big Push. You know, when I had a conversation with him, he said that the government appeared to have expanded the matter in depth with it when they were just focused on Big Push. So that's what Prof is talking about. Next message.
We have Nafen Aniku who says, if it is confirmed that lawyer Attah has taken over from lawyer Apia Akubi in the ongoing Samurai Boy case, may reasonably be inferred that the court's determination, the subject of the court's determination that Chairman Wutumi is definitely going to jail. I mean, this is prejudicial. You can't declare that until the court actually makes a decision.
That's on July 3rd. If it even happens on July 3rd, because now there's a suspicion that based on what has happened, there may be an extension. But again, we are yet to hear from the court itself on this matter. But today the court made a decision which said it did not agree with the decision to withdraw by Andy Apia Akubi.
And the court actually also indicated that it is a decision between the lawyer and his client. So in changing lawyers, he didn't really need to bring that application. So now that that has been done, we'll see whether the judgment will be arrested for a time to be given, an extension of time to file submissions. Let's go back to what people are saying. And this one says, Lawyer Attah would attribute meanings to a man who's resigning to go and teach, but wouldn't do same for a man who is withdrawing as a counsel without reasons. I think this is in reference to your question, asking him about the resignation of Bosman Asari and the former Chief Justice. And he said that he really needed to get the background for their resignation. So this gentleman is saying that he would make one analogy for a particular case and make it different for another one.
So it means essentially it's trying to say that Attah has not been consistent. That is actually the attack that is coming on his person. But it's interesting the theories we are seeing on social media in relation to this matter, his resignation. That's not professor yet, Dr. Bosman Asari's resignation. And then on the Apia Akubi's withdrawal, it is interesting. It's surprising. I don't know whether we should believe that the resignation is just for the sake of it, and whether if I had him, I was hoping we'll get to interview him to ask whether he jumped or he was pushed.
There are people who believe that this whole action is very tactical, hoping to delay the judgment and also see how the two legal teams or the legal team for the defense may come up with something else to get the whole case up again. So it's quite interesting. I mean, the coming days would show how this thing would go.
Let me bring a message from X. Blueprint in Esikado Kitan says, so Felix is telling us that everything he says he should take, we should take it hook, line, and sinker. Please, he should spare us some kind of intelligence. Prince Nuruddin Baumia says, so Madam Sophia resigned on September 2025 without public awareness until the news was leaked to the media last week before Felix made the announcement today. Okay. This, I think this one you've already read from the WhatsApp platform. You can also send your message. You have another
There's a message from Kwesi Asari who says that I think that the resignation of Justice Ekufu would see the president waiting till December to have Justice Paul Bafoboni retire and bring him onto the Council of State. That's one interesting analogy for that. Yeah,
that's another conspiracy theory. Well, that's how we end today. That's Fred Jabano. Thank you so much, Fred, for joining us. My name is Umaru Sandamado. I did this show from our studios in Accra on 97.3 Citi FM, produced by Beverly in London, Juliana Odami Asari, Sami Wiafe, Kwabena Wilson, and the technical support from Desmond Nyakun. Edwin Kwakofi and the new media team helped us afloat on the social media space. We'll be back tomorrow at 1700 GMT. Keep listening to 97.3 Citi FM, relevant radio always. I leave you now in the hands of Samuel Attah-Mensah, who brings you Footprint.
City News. We speak first. Reach our hotline on